Welcome back, everybody. Today we're going to be doing a sunflower painting in a watercolor traveler's notebook insert. Now, this was my first time using this insert and the paper, and I was very curious to see how it would perform because I heard some pretty mixed reviews, and I think the main takeaway is that I like it. I can definitely see what people mean when they say that the watercolor tends to sit on top of the paper. There is some sort of treatment that keeps it kind of laying on top, and you can see that very clearly when I go and do the swatches below the sunflower later. I really had to work those pigments around to get them to settle and not just kind of bead up on top of the paper. Now for this painting, as you could see, I was using a wash of just clean water and then laying down some pigments, and I wanted to get that really soft, diffused look to this. I wanted it to be a little bit looser than some of my other paintings have been so far. I was also worried about using a traveler's notebook insert with it still inside the traveler's notebook for painting because I was worried it wasn't going to lay flat. But I just had a binder clip on either side of the insert, and that did the job of keeping it flat. And again, I was surprised, it did a good job. I feel like this is the time of the year where people are starting to really get interested in spring cleaning, and I'm glad because I think I need the kick in the butt to refresh things around my house. I do already have a capsule wardrobe, and I have tried to limit, things in certain areas, but I haven't really gotten it down to brass tacks. I read a Marie Kondo book a little while ago, and I haven't gone, room to room to room and really gotten rid of every single thing that I don't love anymore or that I don't use anymore. So I think, if I can find some time to do that this upcoming week, that would be great. And there's just other things. Haven't taken down my Christmas tree, honestly. So some things like that need addressed. I just think it's hard to commit to such a big task right now. I don't have a lot of extra time. And honestly, I just don't know how much I need to get rid of. And a lot of it, too, is stuff that more needs to be, donated or sold or given away rather than just trashed at this point, too. So it takes a lot longer to go through all of those processes instead of just, dumping things that don't have a use to anybody anymore and that are more obvious that you need to get rid of them. Now, if you've been enjoying the video so far, if you would, consider subscribing, I would really appreciate it. This is a small channel, so everybody counts. And if you do and you leave a comment about it, I'll go down there and thank you for it. Now, I've been really excited because my brother, the one who's also studying Japanese, is coming into town. He's definitely one of my favorite people, and I don't really get to see him enough, so it's always nice when he comes around. I am a little disappointed in myself. I feel like I really wanted to impress him with how much Japanese I've learned, and definitely, especially this past week, I haven't been on top of it. Not to the point where I had been before, at least. I mean, previously I would spend hours a day on it, and it would just be listening to podcasts as I was doing dishes or reading emails, doing laundry, on top of more targeted studying. But I've really been spending all my free time on this lately. So it just might be time for me to reevaluate that goal. My original goal was just to pass the JLTP N5, which happens in December. So it doesn't really seem like that's impossible. Honestly, I probably know 70% of what I need to pass right now. I had just been kind of hoping that I'd be able to take a higher level test than just the N5, maybe the N4 or N3 even. And I just don't think that's perhaps realistic with all my other goals at this point, so might be time to just kind of bring it back a little. I definitely think it's smart if you're the kind of person who sets New Year's resolutions, obviously I am, to reevaluate things at the end of every month. And even with learning Japanese and my other goals, I usually have a weekly recap that I do every Friday that I just say, what I did or didn't do for my goals and, whether that was effective. Basically what went well and what didn't. And that helps me to kind of keep on track and also to not get stuck in patterns that don't work. Like with Japanese, I was using some sources and sites to study that weren't the best. Not bad, but not what I should have been spending my time on. And if I didn't take the time to think about that and analyze it and make a change, I would have been wasting a lot of time doing something that doesn't yield results. So again, I think it's important to kind of analyze where you're going with things as you continue on. I have been really excited lately. It seems like my 2 cats are finally really getting along very well. I got my second cat, Butterscotch, back in January, so it's been a few months, but my first cat, Cinnamon, is a total princess. So she was not happy about another cat. I knew from previous experience, from her being in the shelter and everything, that she did like other cats. She's not an unfriendly cat. She's just a nice queen. It takes her a while to thaw out to other cats. So it was really hard at first, getting them to acclimate to each other. So I had to go through all the motions of doing that, like, keeping the second cat in a different room for a while, and then, you start feeding them on the opposite side of the doors and moving the dishes closer and closer to each other to try and get them to positively associate, food and the other cat. But it was very difficult because Cinnamon was such a butthead, whereas Butterscotch, she was not very happy to be in that room. I site swapped them as much as possible, but anytime she had to be in a room alone, it was a real struggle with me opening the door to not get her past me. And it definitely happened. It definitely happened a lot at first. So I feel like with that, I always try my best to do things by the book until I really can't anymore. I think after Butterscotch snuck past me enough times, and Cinnamon definitely saw her, I was like, alright, I guess this is over. I guess you guys live together now. Which didn't really go great at first, as it often doesn't with cats. No one got hurt, no one got scratched, but there was definitely some hissing and some grumpy kitties. Or just one grumpy kitty for a while, but I think that lasted about a month of them really not liking each other, or I should say Cinnamon really not liking Butterscotch. And then they were cool with each other for about a month, and now it seems like they're pretty darn friendly with each other now. Like, they'll chase each other around playfully. They'll be next to each other, no problem. If I take a nap, they'll both lay down on the bed in different areas, but still. So I'm just happy. It seems like we're finally getting to the point where they really seem to get along. It had also been hard. Cinnamon, because she was so angry, would just kind of slink off somewhere. And, Butterscotch was so gregarious. She always wanted to be by me. She, always wanted to be in the same room. At least initially. Now she comes around every once in a while for attention and then goes and sits on the cat tree in the living room. But it made me so sad at first because, Cinnamon was my baby. And for a while there, it just felt like I never really got to see her anymore. So again, I'm just glad, now things have kind of settled down, and Cinnamon will spend the bulk of the day with me. She'll come up and lay on my desk by my laptop while I'm working. And again, Butterscotch will just be in the living room doing her own thing during that time. And then, and she used to sleep with me in my bed, and then she hadn't done that in a while. So it's just nice to kind of get back to how things were, because for a second I was really afraid, You know, I was trying to give this other cat a home, very nice cat, but I felt like I was losing my first cat, so I'm just glad everything has worked out. Right here, when I'm starting to lay down that sap green for that swatch, you can really see the paper giving me some trouble. And I go back and I blend it, and I'll go back with it in the other colors and try to make it smooth. So that's what I was talking about in the beginning when I said that there's a coating on top of the paper that resists the water and the pigment. So, and there you can see it again with the burnt umber. So that's one thing about this paper, is it seems to lend itself very well to more texture. But if you're trying to paint what's supposed to be a smooth surface, I feel like I could give you some hard time with that. So we'll see. Again, my first impression is very positive of this insert in this paper, but we'll see if, as time goes on, if, you know, it's applicable to every situation that I would, you know, and everything that I would like to paint. I'm just trying to touch up and make the darker areas of that swatch darker, and then I'll go in with a ruler and a pencil and start outlining the swatches like I did the area of the picture. I'm not sure if I'm totally in love with that. I wasn't really sure if it would be better to use a black pen to outline things or not outline things at all. I'd be curious what you thought about it, but you know, I did just want to give everything a nice outline, especially where the swatches get lighter. It'd be very easy to lose the color entirely if it's not boxed. Also, clear rulers are really fantastic for this sort of thing, and just in general. So if you don't have one, I would definitely pick one up. So this piece of my first impressions are just about wrapped up. I hope that your creative projects are going well, and thank you for joining me today. See you guys!